And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. Folks, it's 2 weeks till Super Bowl Sunday. That means you've got 2 weeks to plan your Super Bowl party. Don't overthink it. Call Calhoun's for a Feed 5 or Feed 10 family pack, or for one of their party platters to go. It's their food, your house. Great price, no fuss. Calhoun's, it is the way to do a Super Bowl party. Hopefully I'll be worried about that in a couple of weeks. I'm sure Bob Hodge here, who's back with us this week, I'm sure you're hoping you'll be worried about that in a couple of weeks.
If we're both worried about it, hey, we'll have fun watching it together.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that ain't gonna
Sequestered.
Yeah, you won't be on the show that day, I'll tell you that. But Bob Hodge back with us. Guys, let's talk Vol football. We got much more basketball to come. We've got recruiting to come, some interesting stats as well. Quentin Dormady announced this week that he'll be transferring. I didn't take that as a huge surprise. I mean, he lost the starting job last year. He immediately started talking about, oh, my arm hurts. I'm going to shut this down. So I wasn't shocked that he took off. But that leaves Tennessee as they switch to a new pro-style offense. They have two guys that have any experience at all right now on the roster, all right? And that's Jarrett Guarantano and Will McBride. Thoughts? I'll start with you since you're the new man on the panel. Thoughts on the quarterback situation going into 2018?
Oh, well, I mean, I think Tennessee's got nothing but questions because you saw what Guarantano and McBride could do in last year's offense, and I think they were limited. Offensive line was so bad you couldn't do anything. You don't know what you have, but now to have to learn a completely new system, I think it's going to be tough. And plus, you brought in Guarantano to run the spread system. I mean, specifically, he was brought in for the kind of offense that Butch Jones ran. So I don't know if you have a fit for your offense on campus right now.
Although I do think it's easier to find. I mean, you look at Alabama, what they did with Jalen Hurts. I think it's easier to tweak a pro-style system to fit a mobile quarterback than it might be to tweak that Butch. Well, they weren't going to tweak Butch Jones' system at all. So, but still, you're right. You don't have a guy that was a true pure drop back passer. Thoughts on the quarterback situation, guys?
I was looking at the rest of the SEC, and I think Tennessee is no better than 10th among quarterbacks returning in the SEC. You don't have much depth. You really can't count on the true freshman coming in, right? He threw 25 interceptions a year ago. So I think Tennessee is in a difficult situation there. Maybe Guarantano steps up. Maybe McBride does also. But I think the quarterback situation is a big concern heading into this year.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when's the last time Tennessee went through a season without the starting quarterback getting hurt too?
Good point. And they're looking at grad transfers and everything else, but none of those guys. You would think they're looking at those guys simply for an emergency body in case you have multiple injuries. You wouldn't think anybody they bring in from a lower level that they're looking at is going to step right in and start. Chuck,
well, I mean, if you start looking at SEC wins, at quarterback, you got 0, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's and like Bob said, if you don't fix the offensive line, I mean, when they drop back, they had like 2 seconds and they're getting hit. And I think McBride may be your best chance. I really do.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work out that way, even though McBride, when you look at the scale of where they were in recruiting, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's McBride either. I
look forward to seeing what both of those guys bring to the table under a different coaching staff. I think that'll tell us either the last guys were as bad as everyone thought, or maybe the players don't fit, or we'll see. All right, next one up. Jauan Jennings said on social media this week that he's back on the team. He's back in school already. Jeremy Pruitt hasn't confirmed that. Philip Fulmer said a week ago that if he is back, it will be with parameters. Here's my question. Not only is he back on the team, will Jauan Jennings finish the 2018 season on the Tennessee football team? And we'll start at that end with Chuck.
You know, I tell you what, that's a tough one.
Because he may not make it back,
He may not. You know, I would say the odds are no, but with everything that's been going back and forth, I'm going to say yes, just to give it that kind of a twist.
Just to be positive.
Yes.
I think his biggest hurdles are getting back. If he's out there against West Virginia and Charlotte on opening day, I say he'll finish the season. Big if about the first part.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the first thing Chuck said. Odds are no. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the odds are no, too.
Well,
because you had a number of off-field issues that the last staff allowed that you wonder if a new staff, if you've got parameters, you're not going to have any issues, you wouldn't think.
And one of them would be no tolerance, I would think.
You would think.
You would think.
I'm going to go with Mike's answer. I think that if he's on the field come West Virginia, and plus something a little bit different right now, too. You're looking at the NFL, and you're looking at the difference between making an NFL check and doing whatever Jawan Jennings will do in life, that might be, since it's here and now, that might push him forward a little bit.
Yeah, it's the contract year. And here's another thing: will it be a wide receiver? Even if he is back, is it for sure that's a position he'll
They need
play?
a quarterback.
Yeah, that's
on
right.
that.
There you go. All right.
Maybe a free
Jeremy
safety.
Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt has added former Vol running back Montario Hardesty to his staff. Looks like he's going to be a quality control coach over there. Now, he worked with Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic last year. Now, Hardesty was recruited to Tennessee by Fulmer. Played that last year under Kiffin. Had a good year under Kiffin. Quick answer. If Hardesty hadn't been recruited to Tennessee by Fulmer, in other words, if there wasn't a Fulmer relationship there, do you think Philip Fulmer allows Jeremy Pruitt to hire anyone off Lane Kiffin's staff? Because there were rumors that he didn't want guys like Lance Thompson out there. The Corey Miller, the former Vol, talked to some folks around here and said, I wanted to come back too, but it looks like Fulmer's blackballing us. Then there was a pushback saying, oh no, that never happened. All right, do you think he would have allowed another Kiffin guy on this staff if he hadn't had a relationship with him?
Probably not.
I'm
Quick
going to
answer.
say, based on the previous names you mentioned, probably not.
Okay, so the question was longer than the answer.
Yeah.
I thought we'd get
Yeah.
somebody that would
Well,
disagree.
Here's my. I'm going to be Mr. Positive. The odds are against it, but
Yeah.
I say yes.
You think you would have let him go?
Here's
all
the
right.
problem. If that continues, then when are you hurting your program by saying you can't hire this guy?
If that's
Yeah.
the case.
If
He
that's
did
the
let him
case.
get Hardesty in here. I would say this, though. If you'd asked me beforehand, would he let Hardesty come back? I probably would have gone 51-49 no, just because of the Kiffin connection. But he did have the relationship there, so he let him in, so maybe he'll surprise us. Or maybe Jeremy Pruitt has no eyes on any other Lane Kiffin staff members. Unless maybe he wants to bring in the 24-year-old new offensive coordinator for Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr. So, 24 years
Not
old.
a wise decision.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right. When we come back, we got recruiting, Titans, Lady Vols, all that to come. But next, we're going to go to the Great Wall of Hoops over here. Some really impressive numbers about Tennessee, possibly a good omen. If you're not happy with the start to this Tennessee basketball season, I don't know what to tell you. We'll see what these guys think. Is there reason to grumble at this point, or is it just all smiles? Come on back.